Welcome friends! Today is my first of a weekly subscriber Q&A session. I have to firstly say a massive thank you as so many people have left a question. I honestly didn't expect there would be enough, and now if anything there are too many. You guys are awesome. So to accommodate that, related questions will be rolled into one, and if you ask more than one I'll just pick one and go with that. I'll try to link all the questions in the description below, but it may take a while to put that out. So first of all, TerraChannelEU asks, why is your user URL called Toastfaceisking? Well, annoyingly, YouTube locks in this URL once you have set it, and I set it around 3 years ago. But way back then, on the internet, when I first went outside of places that weren't mainstream like Pixar and Bebo, I was a toastface in a chat board. Thus I became Toastfaceisking. Daawesomedude asks, who are your favourite YouTubers outside of Planetside 2? So I absolutely love Total Biscuit, and especially his What the Fuck series for games. And I like a YouTuber called Marquise Brownlee, who makes really good phone and tech reviews. Andi Dai asked, what is my real life name? And it is of course, Josh. My last name is plain and boring and belongs to a lot of farmers in the UK. Maybe you can figure it out. Nick Periera says, do you ever get angry in Planetside 2 and how do you manage that anger? The answer to that is quite often. The adrenaline is flowing, things can get very tense, and just after dying there can be a release of that adrenaline. To manage with that frustration, I guess I have somewhat of a conscious mini version of me on my shoulder that says, Josh, think about this. It is a game. And then I get over it. Although most of the time I will laugh off dying, and if it is something especially skillful or out of the ordinary, I'll send a tell applauding them. Something else to note is quite a lot of the time I get praise when people kill me. They send messages like, oh my god, I just killed Joshino, I love your videos, which can take the edge off, even though it seems to be the only time I get those tells. Finally, real life issues can sometimes spill over. For example, I had been for a rough patch with a real life relationship, and I accidentally team killed somebody with the underbarrel grenade launcher. They came back and team killed me. I flipped out. The mini Josh wasn't loud enough, and I repeatedly team killed him inside the spawn room, and yeah, I yelled at him with a proxy chat. However, right after when I cooled down, I sent a tell saying sorry, and the next day I found him again and said sorry in proxy chat, and the other guy said it was okay. So we were fine after that. So really I'm very conscious that this can happen to anyone. And when someone is angry, you don't know what shit they have dealt with in the day, but they should be able to say sorry later. FPSHazard asks, what is your favourite ESF and loadout? This one has to be the Reaver with the air hammer, hover stability and afterburners. I usually hate shotguns, but in the air they are more of an interesting affair. I particularly like how they have a completely different playstyle to nose guns, as hover manoeuvres aren't really that useful with the air hammer. You need to get in close and personal and really give them a hard time. Linkfrost says, have you ever played any games from the Zelda series? The first Zelda game I played was the original one on NES, although as with most games on that console I sucked hard because I was so young. However, after I received an N64 at age 6 and got Zelda at 7 I think, I fell in love with Ocarina of Time. The game is one of my all-time favourites, and just thinking about the game strikes such a chord with me. In fact, when I first saw this question, I put the whole OST on to go to sleep to. Also, most recently I've played the Medieval Total War 2 mod called the Hyrule Total War. It is made by a very talented modder called Dying the Film, and is all the games merged into one world, and everyone who likes Zelda and RTSs should give it a go. Moushn.How asks, how much is the fish? 55 krona. Im24TV and TotalMax13 asks, what is your real life job? I'm working at something called the Citizen Advice Bureau. It is currently unpaid as it is a charity, though there are paid roles currently going. I do something called generalist advice and advocacy. The first is giving people advice on their rights in any situation, say if they have a dispute with their neighbours, or they are homeless and they need to know what to do. It can literally be anything. The advocacy is giving some advice and also helping people who cannot help themselves, usually due to mental health issues. This can be helping them with bills and debts and things, but at the moment the biggest one is something called ESA in the UK, as people who are genuinely disabled are being delayed their benefits for months, and it basically leaves them with massive debts and a horrible way of living. Also, there are dehumanising medical assessments where most of them are scored zeros, even though they are practically bedbound most of the time, or can hardly even walk. This often makes me physically angry and also very sad. I quite often match their illnesses to the criteria to argue their cases against the decisions, and I cannot see anyone even slightly ill can score a 0, which people come out with. Basically there's like a point system, and you need something like 12 points to be classified as unfit for work. And if people are interested, there are 15 criteria with a maximum of 4 points. Anyway, CroGamerHD asks, what is your favourite Vana weapon? And well, I don't have a favourite weapon. but at the moment I'm having a lot of fun with the heavy flare, and I'm revisiting the default Sources VE3 on my Light Assault, which is very good. Vibes asked about SOE implementing a character transfer system into the game. I personally don't think SOE should until the EU servers are merged, because people could waste their money trying to get to another server just for it to be merged in a week's time. But as they will be merged, I don't see a problem anymore. As before, I too was worried about transfer tokens would make a lot of people leave a lot of the other EU servers to go to Miller, for example, which is very vocal and advertises itself as a premier EU server, as it could mean a loss of player bases for the other servers. But with two massive servers, always fun, full of higher battle rank players, people shouldn't move for that reason. Quite a few people asked Ass or Tits, or some form of it, and it was the highest voted question for some reason. So I don't feel that bassoons or badonkadonks individually are a good way of picking a partner. There are other parts of the body, you know, and something called a brain. To be honest, I find it hard to be with girls who aren't very smart, as most of my flirting is with wit and teasing. Ryan Moffat asked about building a PC to play Planetside 2 on Ultra, and doesn't want to spend $400 on a GPU or CPU individually. While I'm currently using an i5-3570K, which is overclocked to 4.2 GHz, which I think in the US is around $200, and can be bought cheaper at micro centres there, which we don't have. And GPU wise, I am using the GTX 670, which might be the same or cheaper. But last generation's graphics cards like the GTX 680 and AMD 7970 must be coming down to around the $200 mark due to new releases of new GPU lines, and they are easily powerful enough for the job. Although Planetside 2 can mess with anyone's hardware. My biggest advice is to use PC Part Picker for all of your parts and to build it yourself. If you go onto Reddit to build a PC, there are lots of good guides in the sidebar and you can ask for help there if you get stuck. Personally, over the years, I have upgraded my PC and I often get parts when they come on sale. In the UK, we have something called Hot UK Deals, but I'm not sure if there is a US equivalent. BVI says, do you baguette, omelette, du fromage, monsieur pantalon to Eiffel? Mon ami mange à maison du canard et poisson, avec château petite chatte, bon anniversaire. Wasmagpie says, what are you about to do when you'll reach 100,000 subscribers? I honestly don't know, but I will feel like going crazy. Do you have any ideas? MartinBellot says, are you happy DJStacey came back to whoop Vib's ass with the 2CA crew? I am happy DJStacey came back as he is a good guy and a good player. SirSaltyPenguin asks, what is your opinion on the discussed EU server merge, and which servers do you want to be merged? I personally want Woodman and Terris. Well, firstly, I would like to know where you were knighted. But anyway, in my opinion, it is a good thing, as EU server pops are really dropping, and honestly, I just want some fresh competition. I don't really know who I want to be merged, although Woodman and Miller might work because they have a dominant TR and we have a dominant VS. And those clashes may be interesting. I don't know too much about Terris, but I have heard, like Woodman, they are quite a warm and tight community. Aydin Claridge says, what is the name of the song? I think you mean the opener. It isn't a song, it is a copyright-free intro stinger by Machinima Sound. The link is in the description though. FirstOfTwentyEight asks, what do you think of a melee weapon that can be equipped whilst running with a pistol? Not the crossbow, but any other sidearm. That does less damage, swings faster, and unstables the aim of the pistol a bit. I don't think I like the idea of that so much, but I guess it could be interesting to have variations of the default knife, but personally I would prefer something separately equipable like a beam sword that could do a lot more damage and have a lot more range. It could work very well with a Stalker Cloak. Also, it could be interesting to have heavies and maxes with Claymore-like futuristic swords, just for fun. And these would be equipable instead of your normal weapons. Noggzone asks, am I excited for the Valkyrie? And yes, I very much am. Although I do wish they were Empire-specific. For me, any new vehicles for groups of players are very welcome. Personally, I really want a 4-gun ground vehicle, as it is so fun to have a whole group working together. Sundras and Galaxies are too multi-purpose, and have to sacrifice so much to ensure they work well with AMSs without being too overpowered. Ghostface asks what my settings are whilst flying. Well, they're the same as other times, and are all on Ultra. I'll put a link to my users.ini in the description. TheTibyOwner asks, do I have a pet? Yes, my family owns a dog called Harvey, and he was attacked by another dog recently, and I had to take him to the vets whilst my family were away. He has had to have some surgery on his ear, and isn't all too happy at the moment, but hopefully he'll get better. Can I get an aww? EpicKhanjar says, have you ever been out of the UK, and if so, where, and how was it? I've been all over the place. Hong Kong, Australia, Germany, Austria, France, Greece, America, Ireland? Yeah, Dublin. Yeah, Ireland. I was going to go to Hungary with my friends this year, but I haven't been able to get out of my student's bank overdraft, so I had to call that one off. But hopefully that will be my next destination. Hong Kong was my most interesting trip, as it was just so different. I loved it. Germany, or specifically Berlin, was the most friendliest place I've ever been, and Australia had to be the most disappointing. It is basically England, but hotter, and everyone goes to bed early. Although I still love Australians. Bevan Xiao says, "Hey Joshino Gaming, what are your thoughts on team killing? Have you ever team killed anyone on purpose?" I have, and as I mentioned before, I am not so proud of it. Although I often team kill my outfit mates and real life friends who play, but in funny ways, and they often get me back, and we all laugh about it. But outside that I try not to. I think team killing is fine in the game, and only a few people take advantage of the mechanism, and it makes you think a lot more about where and how you attack somewhere. Like for example, being careful about throwing 4 anti-vehicle grenades into a room. Although, yeah, I do that quite a lot. I kill for my skill asks, what would you think if we were able to steal empty tanks from the enemy? Like killing the NC out of his vanguard and take it. The marker would still show an enemy which would differentiate it from an ally tank. I don't know if I'd like everyone to be able to do it, but I think it would be great for an infiltrator hacking ability, or perhaps an engineer trait to have. I think it might be useful that if after it was hacked, it went to a default tank, but say purple with a VS sticker on it for VS, or other factions, so you could actually tell it was hacked. Unknown Production says, what do you prefer, using an infiltrator equipped with an SMG, backstabbing people, or go as a heavy assault and face your enemies head on? Hashtag SvengelDoesGames. I like both, but being a heavy feels so epic. I'm not sure what the hashtag is, as click on it goes to nothing. Dat Potato asks, would you eat me if I am a potato? Well, it depends if you're baked, stewed, or made into chips. Dirty hobbitses. Also, my outfit mate Satanta, who is Irish, may get upset. He is very possessive over potatoes. Oh look, here's another bosom one. Very Questioning says, hey, this is a completely random question. A while ago, I encountered someone, and during a conversation, he said, there is no respite, only boobies. It seems nonsensical, but I can't help feel there is a deeper meaning. Maybe you could try figuring out what it means. Well, boobies to the power of pi equals the number of male stares divided by the amount of girlfriends attached to arms. Nisk12 asks, do you play RPGs? I occasionally play Skyrim, but I haven't played many RPGs for a while, although I do like them. Morrowind is still my favourite RPG of all time, and Star Wars Galaxy's Pre-CU was my favourite MMO, but that is gone, and the emulator is still in production, which is called Star Wars Galaxy's Emulator, but it has dated a lot. Mr. Awesome 0002 asks, what do you think should be done to make the new player experience better? I see more new players now than ever before, and there should be a good way to teach them. My favourite suggestion I've seen is a buddy system much like a two-man squad where players set into the ability to have new players tag along, and then the experienced players show them the ropes. What do you think should be done? I actually made a video about the mentor system a few days ago, you should check it out, but yeah, I completely agree and your idea sounds like a good one. Javier Diaz says, how did you make your aim better? It is hard to say, but I began bursting, which was a great help. Also, I think using the NS11C, which is very easy to control, was good for getting used to where I needed to aim to do the most damage, without there being too much of a kick. And from that point, trying to control other weapons to have the same patterns as the NS11C, I sort of got better at aiming. But I still don't think I'm amazing. Shiva Chandra says, hi Joshino, what's your favourite mid to long range heavy assault VS weapon? As I said before, I'm very much having fun with the flare at the moment, with the compensator and forward grip on it. I feel very potent in mid-range engagements, and can be effective at long-range engagements. Finally, Heine Here's Metal asks, dry or smooth wine? I actually really like a dry white Pinot Grigio, and with red wines, quite a dry Merlot. So thank you everyone so much for all these questions, and if you want a question to be answered next week, put a comment below. If you are new and like what you have heard, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching everyone, Joshino.